people don't really understand this whole premenstrual syndrome thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they have shrouded it in so much mystery. It's so sad and made it look like it's a topic that you shouldn't discuss. But it's something that you should. It's our everyday living. We literally have to experience this multiple times in a year, sometimes a month. Like every month at least, you're going to have these things happening. And depending on the length of your cycle, some people will have it twice in a month. So I can't wait to hear everybody speak. I can't wait to hear all the experiences.
yeah.
And more importantly, I want to hear what non-bleeders would also think. Like
Like the
guys,
guys.
what their thought is before we start the conversation, and then after
Okay.
we have had the conversation, what their thoughts will be.
Okay. Petro, you're welcome.
Hi, Brother Joseph. Thank you.
Hey, how are you, Tracy?
Je vais bien, je parle aussi français, je comprends très bien français, alors je vais bien.
Yeah,
Heureuse
ça va
d'être
bien.
ici. I'm good and I'm happy to be here to be sharing this moment and ideas.
Awesome.
Bonsoir à tout le monde. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so happy to join you this afternoon again for this conversation. Yeah. Let's have fun and then let's have good experience. Thank you.
It's good to see you, Annie.
Hello. Good evening. It's great to see you.
You're also welcome, Roland.
What we have a nice conversation with you guys.
Yeah.
Well done.
Roland, from which country are you joining us from?
I'm from Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe. Okay, awesome.
In Minds Africa group, that's where I got to know about Voice One Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's great to have you, sir. Truth is, when it comes to premenstrual syndrome, I'm not really quite experienced in it. Yes, sincerely.
I kind of find this like interesting. I was like, oh, I want to hear the views. I want to hear the views of the people that studied about it or read about it, so that I know to get different ideas. Because each and everybody, our body is different, so we have it in different ways.
So, Tracy, which country are you joining us?
Seychelles, the islands of Seychelles.
Seychelles. Okay, awesome. And Chidera Gift, where are you joining us from?
I'm joining from Nigeria, Abuja, Nigeria.
Abuja, Nigeria. Awesome. Where did you, hear about this conversation from? Is it the Voice One Africa?
I heard it from Miss Linda Raji.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. It's good to have you.
Good to have you too. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Chidera is my colleague.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, let's keep inviting folks. And ladies and gentlemen, bonsoir à tout le monde. Bienvenue. You're welcome to this evening's conversation on menstruation. And this evening, the period team of Voice One Africa will just be delving into premenstrual syndrome. What is premenstrual syndrome? We've had issues about mood swings. We've heard and had some idea about sometimes during premenstrual syndrome. What interests the guys is the ultra sensitivity of the breast and things that when we hear these things, we get excited. But how is it for the woman? And what does it mean, this whole premenstrual syndrome? This evening, we'd like to delve into it and explore the meanings and also just to understand it better and to appreciate our ladies, as Z put it, menstruating people, and she would like to hear the perspective of non-menstruating. How do you put it? Non-menstruating folks.
Non-bleeders.
Non-bleeders. Okay. Thank you. All right. So we'd like to also hear the perspective of non-bleeders. Yeah. So I will begin by inviting some gentlemen to share with us their understanding of premenstrual syndrome. Yeah, Ronald, you're joining us from Zimbabwe, you mentioned. Tell us, what's your understanding of premenstrual syndrome? What do you think it means? If you'd like to. I didn't put you on the spot.
I think that by admitting this is a new subject to me, but maybe I will just my thoughts, which is maybe some kind of weird feelings that ladies go through before they start their day. I don't know the appropriate word to use now. Okay, let me use the word bleeding or something, as earlier alluded by another colleague in this group. I'm sure that's what I can say, but I need to say it upfront that I'm not some kind of an expert in this area. But what I can simply say is some certain symptoms that ladies might feel before they start to menstruate, something like their moods might be changed. Some you see them, maybe they start to, can I say, become angry or something like that. I don't know what I can say. Some might say they might feel some kind of headaches, something like that. That's what I can say for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And so even in the chat has already started. Kakra is saying that he said some weird feeling. Okay, let's hear from who's the other gentleman here. Okay, I mean, Petro, we love you. We love your French, but let's hear your perspective. Petro, what do you have to say?
Bonjour, bonjour les amis. Mon nom est Petro Mboigne, je suis congolais et je vis présentement en Afrique du Sud. J'ai fait la poésie. J'ai publié mon premier livre il n'y a pas longtemps. Vous pouvez le trouver sur Amazon. Alors, nous parlons aujourd'hui des syndromes prémenstruels. En fait, excusez mon français. Well, my French is not that good because I'm used to English, so now I'm just like forcing it. Yeah, but it's coming out. So, le syndrome prémenstruel, selon mon entendement, ce syndrome que les filles ou les femmes expérimentent avant de voir leur période. En fait, ce sont ces changements d'humeur que nous allons parler et aussi les autres syndromes que nous allons découvrir ici. Moi-même, je ne sais pas trop, mais nous allons tous apprendre ici. Donc, et mon frère qui a parlé avant moi a aussi dit non. A aussi dit la même chose. Donc, nous sommes ici pour apprendre. Je suis content d'être ici moi-même. Merci.
Merci. Yeah. Eric.
Yes, je vais juste ajouter ce que mon cher ami Petro a dit. Quand on parle des syndromes prémenstruels, alors cela voudrait tout simplement dire que ce sont les signes qui apparaissent ou les signes qui précèdent les règles au niveau que les filles expérimentent la plupart des fois pendant leur âge de puberté. Voilà, les différentes morphologies au sein de la femme. Donc, avant que les femmes voient leur période ou leurs règles, donc il y a des syndromes, il y a des signes précurseurs. Voilà, les signes précurseurs qui annoncent dans ces moments vraiment de dur labeur au sein des femmes. Mon cher ami a dit aussi, mais bon, voilà, on va tout. Merci. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, if you could just give us a 1 minute summary in English, that's fine.
Okay, so I was saying that as Petro just said, when we talk about the premenstrual syndromes, these are the signs or the syndromes that ladies have when they are able to enter their menstrual period. These are the signs or the symptoms that precede all this time. So I just said that I don't know much about that, and I am ready to learn also.
Thank you, Eric.
Their experience. That's what I
personally too, like I was saying, I sincerely don't recall my encounters with premenstrual syndrome. Actually, in fact, when I came to know about premenstrual, I just started thinking whether maybe it's one of the reasons why sometimes my wife behaves certain ways, some way at certain times. But I sincerely am not trying to kind of connect things to things. But we know that there are signs, right? Sometimes all these mood swings and things. But I'd love to actually hear from you, the ladies who actually experience it, and maybe you can help the guys understand it better, and we can appreciate you when you go through that. So we'll first listen to our panelists. We have Kakra, we have Genevieve, we have Annie, we have Linda Raji. Yes, so let me start with Annie.
All right. So, in more scientific terms, would say premenstrual syndrome. These are just or a group of symptoms, rather, that a woman experiences. About some books say 14 days, some books say 10 to 13 days before her period. So this is the period between ovulation to when she gets her period, and these symptoms include nausea, constipation. They range differently. Insomnia, depression, all sorts of kinds of things. Some women experience cramps, some women experience tender breasts, and they vary from woman to woman. Yes.
Wow, did you say 10 to 13 days before menstruation?
Yes.
Oh wow. So then the whole thing is like it's a big drama from the like I don't know from the beginning of the month to the point where the menstruation begins and then the whole cycle begins again. Wow, this mind blowing. Wow, I see. Okay, Kakra.
Hi.
Yes, hi Kakra.
I'm sorry, my camera is off because I'm in the parts of the continent where the government still likes to put the citizens in darkness.
Okay.
So
it's load
I don't have light. I hope the rest of the continent can relate to that. Okay, so Annie has explained premenstrual syndrome, okay, from a very scientific perspective because she's a nurse amongst us. So let's take her word for it. And you said something that was very interesting, that it's between 10 to 14 days. So that's good. So you see, every day of the month is a problem day for a woman.
Merci.
You have the 5 to 7 days where you're in your menses. You have your ovulation, which comes before your menses. There's a premenstrual that comes just before ovulation. And then there's a postmenstrual syndrome. So sometimes a woman is off every day of the month, every day of the year, and you can't really determine the pattern of her mood, you know. And then Annie said it varies. My premenstrual syndrome, the first thing I'll notice is my nose becomes sensitive. I can smell anybody's armpit from wherever. Like, don't come close. I can smell good. I can smell your thoughts.
Wow.
My nose becomes sensitive. That's how I know I'm getting close. Okay, and it varies. Sometimes before it starts with the waist pain, then a migraine, and it gets intense. Sometimes it doesn't. So every woman experiences premenstrual syndrome. My interactions with younger girls gives me the conclusion that they know what they go through, but they didn't know there was a term for it. So like you said, you didn't really know much about it until recently. So it has always been there. Just before your monthly flow, there are symptoms that tells you that you are about to have your period. So be on the lookout. So basically, yes, that's just my contribution to it.
Wow, that's amazing. Genevieve, yes.
Hey, yeah. I think I agree with the ladies. Spoke before me that it does indeed vary from woman to woman, and weird thing that it's a weird thing that's on a monthly basis, and it's not the same all the time, and the symptoms obviously differ from woman to woman. Like for instance, for me, sometimes in some months I would have sensitive gums. I would have an itchy nose in some months.
I see.
In sometimes I feel huge. right eyes to where they feel uncomfortable, and the irritability and the mood. This is up and down. I can be super happy, and then all of a sudden I'm sad. I also tend to wanna just cry all the time, or just not see anybody.
Wow. I mean,
At times, I just want to be alone and not able to talk to me. So it does indeed differ from woman to woman, but it also differs from month to month. And the same experience, the same symptoms every month. And also, I think the other thing is I've also learned about this like recently. The first time I heard the word PMS was in 2017. And I asked my friend, what is that? And she told me what it was. I was like, oh, so this thing has a name because this is what I've been experiencing, but I didn't know what it was. And then now I'm hearing what it is. There's actually a name for it. I was quite in about yes, then. Oh, craving. Man, the craving for sweet stuff. So yeah, it's just a bunch of things that happen to us women.
Thank you very much, Genevieve. I mean, from what I'm getting from you, like you're saying, it even differs from month to month. It's not like this is how my premenstrual syndrome is this way, and then every month is the same thing that keeps occurring. Like it could vary from this month, like you're saying, sometimes sensitive gum, and then what itchy nose, and it just keeps like changing like that. I see. I mean, this even
so those are the observations I've made, or those are the kind of things that I've noticed with me. That some months I would have sensitive gums, and the next month I may not have sensitive gums.
I get it. So this all means that like we have to be, I mean, for the ladies, you have to be, not just for the ladies, I think you have to be sensitive to yourself and notice the changes that happens within you as you go through the month and I mean, the cycle and all that. That's what I'm getting, because you can actually be experiencing it and not even know that, oh, this is premenstrual syndrome, or this is related to my cycle or something. Wow. That's awesome. There's a question in the chat, and please, you can keep sharing your questions. So it says that do all women go through premenstrual syndrome? Don't we have some who go straight into their period without this syndrome? And I'd like to invite Linda, if you could respond to this. Yeah. Sorry, looks like the network today is really problematic.
Personally, I never knew about it, and I didn't know what's going on with me. Then one day, my brother looked at me and said, "Is it the time of the month?" And I was going to react, but I decided to Google it, and I saw that he had a point, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And I got reading, and I found out that it's a thing. So whenever I go off on him, and he says, "Is it the time of the month?" and I check the calendar, I always say yes. I'm about 4 days to the time. And it became something I started observing and watching out for, until I met a cousin sister who had the total feeling of going through her cycle during her ovulation, then have a repeat of it during her period. Like she doubles over in pain and she's crying, and I'm like, what is happening? And she says, I go through this during my ovulation, then when my period comes, I go through it again. So that's like 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks she has to go through that pain, and it's always a horrible time watching her suffer so much. But I got to know that it's not all women that experience this. At least in talking about pain and intense discomfort. There's some women that period just appear and, oh, my period is here. They don't have any single pain. And they'll tell you nothing is wrong with me. I have actually asked, and that is their experience. Why more women will tell you, oh, I actually suffer menstrual pain and it's horrible. 2 days before time, I break out. My nipples are sensitive. My breasts are swollen. I'm just angry. A lot of things happening to me. So I would say majority of women experience it. But I guess I will let the nurses in the house correct me when I say it's not all women, because I know girls that will tell you I don't even have any pain, nothing. My period just comes and goes when it's time. There's no pain. I don't even break out. I don't have pimples. I'm fine. So these ones are rare. They are few, but they are there.
Okay,
They are
let's hear from the nurse. Annie, thank you very much, Annie. And Linda, thank you. Annie, yes, what is there to this from the medical perspective?
The thing with the premenstrual syndrome is, like we said, people vary.
Yeah.
Now the thing is that the symptoms that you get are your body preparing for what's about to happen. And because every woman who has her period has to go through this process, every woman will have at least one symptom. Now the symptoms, for some they'll be severe, and for some they'll be unnoticeable. Let's say things like an increase in appetite. For some people it's just 2 days. We said 10 to 14 days. For some people it's just 3 days. You might not even notice it, especially if you have a busy schedule. It might be as subtle as maybe just sudden sadness. It might, sometimes you don't even notice it. And like most of the women have said, until this conversation, we didn't even know what premenstrual syndrome was. We knew some days before getting our period, maybe we lost our appetite, or maybe we were a little more hungrier than usual, or maybe we were a little more sleepless, or a little more fatigued, but we didn't know what it was. And I think that's the most important thing. It's to allow people to know that you are not just being difficult. Your body is doing this to you, and that's why maybe you need some extra food. The food is very important. Maybe if everyone else at home is having maybe pasta, you should be allowed maybe to have the rice that you want to eat, because you're not just being difficult. It's your body that is doing these things to you.
It's really interesting how you bring this into it. And we always rely on the ladies to do the cooking and the house chores. We don't care whether it's menses or whatever. Yeah, I mean, are we being sensitive here, guys? Any guy wants to respond or say anything?
Hi,
Adetola.
right. Sorry, I already left a question in the group because I'm a bit confused now. After listening to all these things, you think about a 30-day or 31-day month, right? Ania said that there is 10 to 14 days premenstrual syndrome.
Yeah,
that's 2 weeks already off the calendar. Check. So we have 2 more weeks left in the month, right? And then there's 5 to 7 day menstruation period proper. That's another week off the calendar. Are you getting the picture I'm painting?
Yeah.
Then there's ovulation, which I mean, we are only left with like 7 to maybe 9 days. So which part of the month can we say that, sorry, that's my colleague. Can we say that the woman is not being impacted by one hormone or the other, where she might not be able to, should we say, determine her own behavior or her own, do you understand? I'm speaking from a guy's perspective here, because you're telling me that 30 days of the month, there's one hormone or the other impacting your body and making you behave in a way that you may or may not be in control of. So can you just tell me politely which part of the calendar month I want to know that you are going to be in your actual element? That's all I want.
Thank you so much.
Can I answer that? Can I answer that?
Yeah, Elizabeth, yeah.
I think it's a very good question, Adetola, to be honest. And the first thing I would like for us to understand is that this is a woman's normal. So I do not know what kind of normal you are talking about. A woman's normal is hormonal, because that is how our bodies have been wired. So you are talking normal with respect to you as a guy, because for you, every day is every day. So that is normal. So I first want to redefine what normal is for us as women. for a woman, generally, before we start to break down into the different days, our normal is hormonal because there are two major hormones that fuel our bodies in terms of reproduction. Okay, progesterone and estrogen. And these two hormones, there's a point where one is high and there's a point where one is low. There is no way there's a total absence of either one of them in any part of the body. If not, there's a problem. So first, that is our normal, okay? Secondly, the fact that that is our normal doesn't mean that we do not have control, because of how you said that when we have control over our own emotions and behaviors. To be honest, if half of the women behave the way they are feeling in their body, the world will not contain us.
My goodness.
So what it means is that every single day, the woman is fighting to be the kind of normal that society expects her to be, regardless of how she's feeling in her body. And so she doesn't succeed all the time, because in as much as she's trying hard, on days that it is just too much, you would have to see that side. And so you would maybe see it twice or thrice, but you might literally she might have been carrying it over in the last 2 weeks, pain and everything. And at a point, it just gets too much. And so she needs to just crawl in bed and sleep, or just shout at somebody and be okay. All right. So that is the first thing you need to understand, that the man and the male and the female are wired differently, and our normals are not under the same definitions. When we come to appreciate that, then we can begin to have the conversation as to, okay, now how can we do to understand the concept of each other's normal, and what can we do to support each other in this regard? And yes, every day of the week, there's something happening. So for me, that is what I would want for us. If we don't take anything away, the fact that our normal as women is different from your normal as a man, and trying to define it under the same parameters will be unfair to either side.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Adetola.
Joe, can I just say something based on what she said? Yeah.
Okay, Adetola, I would like us to have a conversation in French, but let me hear you first. Then we'll go to the French conversation.
My French is not very great, so pardon me.
Oh no, you're not going to speak French. Just flow in English.
Okay. So the key thing is this, yeah. Elizabeth, think about it like this. I'm this guy here. Like, look at my hand. So this is me. We're going to meet on a daily basis. Yeah, I'm on this side and you're on that side. Now, when I come with maybe stresses from work, testosterone, my own ambitions, finances, blah blah blah. Now I'm coming to meet you on this side, and you're telling me that there's progesterone and estrogen constantly fluctuating inside of you, and so that at each time that I'm engaging you, I don't know what I'm likely to face, and that you are constantly facing a struggle, if that's correct, to balance all of these hormones and present, should we say, a normal, quote unquote normal that society is able to accept. So for me, it just makes it a bit more complex. I'm speaking from my own perspective as a guy. I'm not speaking for all the guys. I'm just speaking for my own self.
Yes,
because I want to know who I'm dealing with per time. Do you understand? And it's like, when you're dealing with someone under the influence of alcohol, the person's under the influence of alcohol, you get it. Now, if the person is under the influence of progesterone, what are we expecting here?
Okay. And thank you very much. Let's hold it there. This is a good question, and so I believe what Adetola is trying to say is that at what point do we say that, or at what point do I know whether the person I'm dealing with is my real woman, or is a woman under hormonal influence? But let's have our conversation in French.
Est-ce que Tracy est là? Je ne pense pas. Ok. En fait, Adé était en train de pointer un point très important. Et c'est un problème, en fait. Moi-même, je suis en train d'essayer de comprendre et je me dis, ah bon, ces activités autour des menstruations, période, tout ça, ça, ça couvre une période importante du mois. En fait, à entendre ce que vous avez dit, ça peut couvrir 2 tiers du mois. Et ça peut être un problème dans les couples et les familles. Et des fois, nous nous demandons même pourquoi les gens ne s'entendent pas dans les familles, dans les couples, tout ça. Et nous ne comprenons pas, mais ceci peut être l'un des problèmes. Il y a Tracy, si tu es là, ou Monsieur Eric, qu'est-ce que tu as à dire sur ce point? Parce que moi, je trouve que bon, c'est un peu dur et c'est compliqué. Et je me trouve dans la même situation que mon frère qui m'a précédé. Essaie un peu de m'expliquer comment est-ce qu'il y a aussi un moyen de réduire ces effets au minimum pour qu'ils ne puissent pas couvrir cette longue période, du moins que les gens soient en mesure d'avoir ce temps où ils sont, on peut dire normal. Bon, une fille, une amie a dit non, on ne peut pas dire que ce n'est pas normal. Bon, c'est normal. Bon, mais dis-moi, quelle est cette période, dis-moi, où les gens sont là complètement normal, où on peut avoir une interaction qui n'est pas perturbée par tous ces effets. Monsieur Eric, ou Tracy, si tu es là.
Merci beaucoup. Eric is there.
Ok, je pense que c'est vraiment un débat parce que, comme Petro l'a dit, de nos collègues filles qui étaient en train d'expliquer, c'est vraiment difficile pour moi, c'est ma première fois de savoir et de comprendre que quand on divise le mois en 3 parties, les 2 tiers, spécifiquement pour les femmes, c'est vraiment un moment où elles subissent vraiment des moments difficiles parce qu'elles traversent leur période, leurs règles. Ce n'est pas facile et vraiment, ça constitue un véritable souci au niveau des foyers. Et lorsque les gens, les femmes et les hommes, lorsqu'ils ne s'entendent pas autour de ces questions-là, c'est vraiment difficile. Et ce que je peux aussi en parler, c'est par rapport au début, je pense qu'il y a une qui nous a fait cas les signes, les syndromes ou les signes qu'elle sentent avant les périodes et c'est nécessairement la sensation, elle dit qu'elles ont des sensations bizarres, des nausées bizarres et c'est vraiment très important pour nous les hommes de comprendre cela et dans le sens de bien comprendre nos femmes aussi lorsqu'elles traversent ces moments de règles ou de périodes. Voici ce que je peux ajouter. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, Eric. The conversation keeps growing and growing, and it's getting very much interesting, even in the chats. You can drop your questions in the chat. So let me just read a few. Annie just clarified. Annie says that maybe just to add on hormones. Hormones are not mannerisms or personalities, but can influence. It will still be your girlfriend or whichever female, just a little more enthusiastic or emotional or tender or hungry or picky than usual. Yes, so it's more like a little more icing on the cake. Petra, I see your hand up. Is it a question?
Yes, please. So like I wanted to put what we said in French, in English, so that the English friends can also understand and try to answer the questions that we asked. Okay. Yeah, so basically, Brother Eric and myself, so our point is that this is visibly a real problem and it can bring about serious discord in families, in households. So how do we solve this? How do we, for example, decrease these premenstrual syndromes? Like, how do we decrease this so that at least it doesn't take that long, like such amount of time for within a month, and would love to hear your views. Like, what do you think are the solutions? We can say, well, it's not a problem, it's normal, but Somehow,
much,
it's
Petra.
it is a problem. It is a serious
A
problem.
problem? How can you say that it is a problem? My
Wait,
goodness.
guys.
I'm
Wait,
sorry.
guys.
Let's talk
I
about
was
it.
trying to wait before I jumped in, but I just couldn't. Like, after
Okay,
everything we've said,
Well,
how can you say this is a problem? Like,
You said you
okay,
wanted to
Z.
hear the guy's perspective, though. You
Thank you
remember
very much. Thank you
you
very
wanted
much,
to hear
everyone.
the guy's
Yes,
perspective.
Z. Okay, so let me have Genevieve.
You want to hear
After
what we have
Genevieve,
to say.
yeah, thank you, everyone. Please mute yourself. We'll go to Genevieve, then we'll come to Tawanda, and then, yeah, we'll continue. I see Brenda. Yeah, so Genevieve, let's start from you.
So I think what is important, or what I would like men to understand is, even us as women, we do not fully understand or know or fully grasp what is going on in our bodies, right? So even us, we learn these things and then you make observations, right? Now I feel or I think that for guys to kind of like understand this, understand that you will never fully understand it, right? Number two, I think educate yourself as well. And what do I mean by that is read, right? Read about this because the information out there is available. And then you make your observations. Look, and I think it all can start at home, or if you have a partner, it starts with your partner. These are things you talk about. Your partner might not even be aware. And you understand? So earlier I mentioned that the first time I heard about PMS was in 2017. I think I was 24 at the time. You understand? And already it was over a decade that I've been menstruating at the time. Now, after you have kind of like grasped what is going on, you make these observations and then you are able to approach or speak to your partner about these things, right? What you have observed. And also it's important to understand this is not a sickness, it's not a problem, it's just what happens. You understand? It's an unusual normal, but it is a normal for us. You understand? So there is no, and like I've said in the beginning, it's not the same for everyone, right? It's not all women that experience it in the same way. It differs from woman to woman, and it's important to understand that, right? And I feel like this platform does give us the ability to talk about these things. So I hope that when we leave this conversation, would leave kind of educated and go and get ourselves educated more, read more, and observe. And as you observe, conversate or talk about these things. This is not, it should no longer be a taboo to talk about this because it happens. And I think what's important also to take away is for us as women also, like I said, we don't fully know what's going on. So we also should walk away from this, willing to go and learn more about our body so that we're able to convey or pass this information on to others. That's what I wanted to share.
Thank you very much, Genevieve. I think what you've shared is actually very constructive and it's good. I was discussing with a female friend of mine. I asked her whether they've watched previous, because they could not join, she and her beloved or her boyfriend, they could not join our previous conversation. So I asked her to watch the video and they started the video, but they could not, they just did the first 1 minute. And I asked why. And she says that it was so uncomfortable right from the onset, sitting with her boyfriend to watch and to just have this conversation around menstruation was so uncomfortable they couldn't, so they just stopped watching it. And I was like, wow, okay, yeah. So there's really, we actually need to warm up to opening up on this conversation. I see lots of hands up. I promised I was going to go to, yeah, Tawanda, do you want to go?
Yes, hi, my name's Tawanda, I'm Katini Zulu. Yes, and just to add on to what was said and to answer a few questions. So, I don't know whose question it was, but then PMS is not a problem. It's not as problematic as you guys are making it sound like it's like an actual problem that even needs solutions. It's a woman's normal. It is somewhat discomforting, and it can be discomforting most of the time. But then it's a normal that we get to deal with. It's a normal that we have to deal with, because all the processes that are going on, all the hormonal processes are just kind of making a way for a baby, and then just for natural things in the body to happen as they are naturally intended for. So yes, that's that. So it's not really a problem. And then a woman doesn't have split personalities or something like that for you to try to determine which days are best to, maybe interact, to have uncomfortable conversations and stuff like that. No. A woman is a woman every day. I'm the same person tomorrow, today, and afterwards. It's just that I tend to feel differently based off my hormonal compositions and hormonal balance in my body. So yes, your girl is still your girl. She's the same person when she's ovulating, when she's experiencing PMS, when she's on her period. It's just the same girl. And then there was a question in the chat that was asking if contraceptives have anything to do with PMS. They should have something and almost everything to do with PMS, because PMS is hugely hormonal. So yes, contraceptives which are hormonal definitely have an effect on PMS, because they tend to tamper with the normal arrangement of hormones, like the balance and all that. So yes.
Thank you. Tawanda, where did you join us? How did you get to hear about this conversation to join us?
I'm a very good friend of Annie.
Okay.
Yes.
So
this is like the second time I'm joining. Yes, I'm from Zambia, and this is the second time I'm joining in on this conversation.
Yes. Yeah. So Annie's going to share the link with you, so you join Voice One Africa. Would like to have you. Brenda.
Thank you.
Yes, Brenda, let's hear from you.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Hi, good evening.
It's Brenda. And just to add my contributions to what Tawanda and Elizabeth said, it definitely is not a problem. And every woman is different. And every month is different. I mean, literally every day is different. So we can't say we know what to expect. It really doesn't work like that.
Okay.
Some days are better, some days are not. But if we want to see how we can try to solve it, right? I think communication, but can you imagine if every day of the week your partner says, I feel this, I feel that? I think it will be a bit overwhelming for you, the men.
Indeed.
That's why we try to deal with it in our own way. And when it's extreme and we feel like we need to let you in on it, that's when you see most women sharing it. So it's not a problem, and it's not, we're still the same people. It's just that different things are happening, and trust me, I think every woman finds a way of dealing with it, because there's already that thing at the workplace about stereotypes. Women are weak, so women will not try to look weak, right? We'll try to get through each day. So we just try to accommodate ourselves and try to like make the best out of it. But yeah, other than that, I think that if your partner knows what's happening to you also, they can also, help you through it, even if it's not physically, or even if it's just giving you space, or even if it's just trying to understand your perspective of what is happening to you. So yeah, that's my little contribution.
I think this is amazing. Like, I mean, these conversations are opening, it's just helping us guys to appreciate you girls better. Like, sincerely, if we had had this conversation earlier, pre to this whole sex before menstruation, I think people would so it's even making the whole sex during menstruation conversation, for me, it's kind of making me understand why some women, like Kakra was saying, this is not something I'm even going to think about or even entertain, because I have all this drama going on in my body, and now there's also this, Yeah, but of course, I mean, we learned a lot during that particular conversation as well. Yeah, thank you very much, Brenda, for sharing. Brenda, you're joining us from where?
I'm joining you from Dubai, but I'm Ghanaian.
Okay, cool. It's great to have you.
Thank you.
Linda, I see your hands up.
Okay, yes. I think it's really interesting to finally get to know how men or hear how men feel about the situation.
Yes.
And I think they also deserve a response because they want to know how they can, they want to understand the situation better, they know how they can support.
Yeah.
And like the ladies already said, it's something we are living with. And taking myself for example, since my brother made me understand that I'm getting angry, I was getting moody, and asked if my period was coming, and I found out that it's true, my period was on the way. I became conscious. Whenever I just realized I'm snapping, and I check my calendar and I realize, oh, my period is coming, I become conscious and I tone it down. So it
Okay.
starts with awareness, knowing what's happening with you as a female in your body,
Yeah.
and of course, having that conversation with the guys around you so that they can understand. Someone already said earlier that you can't tell them every time what's going on. And I believe after that initial conversation and letting them know that there sometimes I have that mood swing and I don't even know why I'm having it, but I'm just experiencing it because of some hormonal changes and my body's going through. I also think men on their part can be more show more empathy to what women are going through, especially when they say we don't even understand it and it varies. I can become very stressed in a month and my period will just decide to change and come a different time. And I have to deal with that. I already have a schedule that, oh, by this time it's going to come, and all of a sudden it has changed. And I have to deal with that and realize that, oh, now I have to go out with a pad every day because it might decide to come on the day I'm not even expecting it.
Yeah.
And that's one reality. I go on outreaches and girls keep asking, why is it that on my period sometimes I feel like I'm having a malaria, I'm having fever. The girls are dealing with this, teenage girls are dealing with it, adolescent girls are dealing with it, mothers are dealing with this, and of course there is the struggle of menopause also. Someone was telling me about the struggles of menopause and I was like, oh my god, when does it end for a
We'll
woman?
come to that. We will come
It
to
was
that.
so
I mean,
scary.
I think,
And here we are. Yes, here we are dealing with this. So I believe with communication, men, first of all, they should not think it's a split personality issue. It's just something she has been dealing with, and she has found the women have found a way to cope with it and still be friendly and smile through the pain. We're actually very good at smiling through the pain. But when she finally does tell you what she's going through, I don't think it's something to make fun of, but at least just show a bit more empathy. I think it will go a long way. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Linda. Yeah, so men should be empathetic and respect the woman. Yeah, and we acknowledge. I think you guys are handling a lot. Chidera, after Chidera, we will hear from the men, the gentlemen. What's your perspective? I mean, having heard all this, and you are the ones, or we are the ones, we interface with the ladies, we see them, we experience. So what I mean, what are our feelings and our perceptions and our perspectives of all this? So let's hear from Chidera from Nigeria, then we'll hear from some gentlemen.
Okay, good evening everyone. I've heard a lot of contribution and on this subject matter of premenstrual cramps. Personally, I won't say this feelings are abnormal. They are not abnormal, and we can't even change them. Personally, I'll use my own story as a case scenario. Mine usually comes with mood swing and cramps, like cramps I can't explain. And it took me time to know that these are premenstrual symptoms. It took me like a lot. I think I've already climbed into the stage of adulthood before I could understand that. And this is me having cramps and mood swing, getting angry at everybody because I'm having cramps. And this is me taking sweet stuffs like chocolate, soft drinks, everything that would trigger these cramps. And people be like, stop, cut down these things. And I can't control it. Like I'm craving things. I keep craving like I'm pregnant. I'm craving for these things, and here am I going through pains. I'll be going through pains with my face squeezed, and I'm eating chocolate, big chocolate. So I don't know. As in, I can't seem to control it, and I can't seem to stop getting angry at everyone. So that's just it for me. So I just think you just have to be patient with us during these times. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience. Yeah. Okay, gentlemen, what do you make of this, honestly? I mean, almost all the ladies want to know, because when we are this way, they are the ones seeing us. Okay, so which gentleman wants to go first? Okay, I see Ronald's hand, so let's hear from Ronald, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair, for giving me the opportunity. I think one thing that we need to know is communication. Ladies have been hiding this PMS for long. So sometimes we argue out of lack of understanding.
Okay.
So the conversation I was speaking when people were explaining, it seems they knew about PMS at a later stage in life. So I'm worried some girls might start to go in their periods without knowing this PMS thing. Some might think that they are ill when they are experiencing these uh, premenstrual cycle symptoms. So I think kind of awareness and communication and table this straight to men to understand so that we are aware when we come from work or somewhere else and you are telling us that you are not feeling well. I think it's PMS. We understand it because it has been tabled to us. Well, sometimes we might have that this perception that ladies like attention too much. So maybe it's a way of trying to get some kind of more attention from me. Thank you. That's what I can say for now. I
Thank you
submit.
very much. Thank you. Thank you, Ronald. And of course, Genevieve was just reminding us that PMS also comes with a few perks for partners. Some women experience an increased sex drive. Yes. And we were excited about that the last time when we spoke about sex during menstruation. Yes. So, okay. All the men. Okay. Let's hear from Petro. They will go to Adetola. And Kwame is still here. We'll push him into the conversation. Yeah, so Petro, let's hear from you.
Okay. So now I'm not sure if I have to speak in French or English, but
You can speak in French and maybe you just give us a summary, a brief summary in English.
Ok. Bon, je trouve que ceci est une discussion bien fructueuse. Yeah, je suis content de participer à cette discussion, en fait. Il y a beaucoup que nous apprenons, beaucoup aussi que nous aussi nous partageons avec les autres. En fait, si j'ai relevé ce problème, c'est parce que bon, nous sommes ici c'est pour résoudre des problèmes et je suis du genre à toujours chercher à résoudre les problèmes au lieu de juste parler, on ne trouve pas de solution aux problèmes que notre peuple est en train de souffrir avec. En fait, yeah, c'est la raison pour laquelle je voulais vraiment que nous puissions parler de ceci. Et en écoutant les filles parler, bon, c'est beaucoup que j'ai appris. Yeah. Et quand j'ai écouté Geneviève dire que nous devons apprendre à nous comprendre mutuellement. Ça, c'est une très bonne chose. C'est une très, très bonne chose. Et il y a une autre dame qui a dit non, nous devons aussi apprendre à nous cultiver, un peu plus sur les problèmes, sur les problèmes sur les problèmes de la menstruation. Les hommes doivent apprendre, les femmes aussi doivent apprendre, doivent écouter quelles sont les vues, quelles sont les opinions des hommes sur ces affaires. Et c'est des fois je regrette quand je vois les filles avoir cette mentalité de exclure les hommes de leur discussion, ce qui n'est pas vraiment cela ne construit pas. Cela ne construit pas du tout. Nous sommes dans un monde où vous avez les filles et vous avez les garçons. Donc, c'est pratiquement impossible de chercher à trouver des solutions en excluant les garçons. Donc, yeah, c'est une chose que je voulais faire savoir aux filles. Et yeah, now I'll speak in English. So, yeah, I was saying I'm so glad this is a fruitful, it's a constructive discussion, and I'm glad to be part of it. Yeah, there are things that we learn and things that we share. Yeah, and I've learned a lot. I've heard from ladies, from girls, what they dare to say about this topic, and it's true. Something that I've picked is is that there's to be that mutual understanding between partners. There have to be that readiness to learn, the readiness to learn from each other. Like the woman has to learn, the man also has to learn. Like to learn about these behaviors that are all natural, and also try to understand. And I was saying that the reason why I wanted to talk about the, like, let's find a solution, and I liked it when when Tawanda said, well, it's not a problem, it's rather something normal. It is a normal that we have to deal with. Wow, that's, to me, just means it is a problem. But it was, yeah, it made me laugh. But yeah, it is like that, this normal that we have to deal with. Yeah, true, we have
Yeah.
to deal with,
Thank
because I
you.
believe, in solving problems, and with Voice from Africa. And I think that the main purpose of this conversation is also finding solutions to the problems that our people are facing. So, yes, yeah,
Thank
I
you
think
very much.
that's what I had
Thank
to
you.
say. So thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thanks.
To add,
Yeah, Eric, let's make this a French conversation, then we'll go back to the English. Yeah, Eric.
ok, ok. Bien, c'était juste
We just lost you.
pour ajouter à ce que de le dire, je pense qu'il faut notifier la communication. C'est très, très important parce que nous, les hommes, nous ne connaissons pas réellement de quoi il s'agit. C'est une situation qui est étrange, qui est vraiment étrange pour les hommes et les hommes n'en savent pas. Moi, particulièrement, c'est à travers cette communication que j'arrive à découvrir quelque chose. Donc, je pense que ce que les filles devraient vraiment faire, c'est multiplier la communication, informer les garçons et surtout ne plus exclure les garçons quand il s'agit des discussions ou des débats de ce genre. C'est très capital, ça nous renseigne beaucoup sur beaucoup de choses sur les femmes. So what I was trying to say is that there is something that we should avoid. I call it communicative suffering. This is this is the lack of communication around this topic. We have really to come up with a strategy in communication so that men can be more, let's say, men can understand more about that topic, and not we should not exclude men from such kind of conversation. We see everywhere there are conversations around this topic, but unfortunately, it is just ladies among them, and then there is to work strategies that men so that we can understand more about that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eric. Merci beaucoup. Okay, so we are back. But before I go to Adetola, I would like to say that, okay, so from what we've heard so far, it looks like most of the men are saying that it's about communication. We want you ladies to tell us what you are going through. It helps us to appreciate what you're going through. And then when we understand it, we are able to kind of relate with you better or to you better. So Adetola, let's hear from you. I'm sorry to have kept you waiting for long, but let's hear from you now.
Thank you, Joe. I don't really mind waiting. I think that the first few things I'd like to say is, first of all, I've heard about PMS in passing, but I've never paid any attention to it because it wasn't really like a major topic. And Tracy sent me the link to join, and I'm here. And it's interesting, but being a logical man, you're trying to make sense of what you're hearing. And I think that that's the first thing. I'm taking all these new ideas in and I'm trying to make sense of it. And I will ask my questions. And the key thing for me, speak freely and not feel like I'm being tailor guided as to what can be said and what cannot be said. That's number one for me. And if I start feeling like as I'm expressing myself, the feedback I'm getting is that I'm not empathetic. I'm going to feel like a horrible person. I'm just going to feel like I can't stay in this conversation. But
Oh,
no,
sorry. It's an open space, so feel free.
I'm just giving a feedback before I go ahead. The key thing is this: for you to achieve understanding, I have to give you my perspective. You have to give me your perspective. If I'm wrong in my perspective, you show me why it's wrong. I'll change and then we move forward. But I don't want a situation where I feel like you're telling me what to say, what can be said.
Yeah.
But now, while that is gone, the key thing is that when I was smaller, my mom was the first person who'd introduced me to menstruation. I was just the first child, and she was already telling me to buy pads and telling me what she experiences when she's undergoing menstruation. So once we start seeing those behaviors, we're like, okay, mom is menstruating. And then as I grew older, I had girlfriends, and when they were menstruating, they'd be like, oh, this is what I experienced while I'm menstruating. That gives you perspective, because while many women say that you are still having the same woman, that is factually incorrect, because the moment something is impacting someone and they're in a form of pain or discomfort, they are not the same person that they always were. So that statement, while it seems true, is not really true, because when I'm in pain, I'm having stomach upset, I'm not really going to be the me that I am right now. I'm not going to give you 100% because I'm struggling with something. Now, if you give me perspective and say, look, when I'm having premenstrual syndrome, I'm facing this kind of things, or I'm having heightened sensation, I'm more likely to be teary, I'm having mood swings, I'm having cravings. When you start having that, because you've supplied me that information first, I'm thinking, okay, being a logical man, I'm thinking, okay, what could be happening to my woman, to my lady? Could she be on her period? Could she be having premenstrual syndrome? Could she be ovulating? I have that information that helps me to imagine what could be wrong with her, so that when I talk to her, I'm like, babe, are you having PMS? Or are you menstruating now? Is this ovulation related? So that we're able to know where it's coming from versus the last thing I wanted to say about this as well is that we have to be careful as well, like where people have hormonal issues, which is totally correct and valid. We have to also know when someone is just throwing a tantrum. Do you understand? Just giving attitude and then trying to pin back on, oh, I have lots of hormones going through my body. But where the PMS is concerned, just give us information. Oh, this is what. Now, for me, if my girl is on a period, I have an idea. Apart from obviously buying her the pads, which so I know that she's about to go on a period, I have an idea of what to expect. So when I'm having those things, I'm like, just cut her some slack. These are period issues. Now, the key thing is that so if we have all this information, it helps us to be more knowledgeable about you. And then we're able to work with you from a place of knowledge rather than from a place of ignorance. Because if I don't know about you, I won't be able to give you the kind of treatment that you deserve, because I'm working blind. So help me to help you. Give me the information I need, and then see me if I won't behave better. If I won't treat you better, if I won't love you better, if I won't appreciate you better, then you now know that I have a problem. But if I have that information, I think that as a normal human being, I would adjust to the situation.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is fair. I mean, ladies, don't you agree? I think this is a fair, opinion and perspective that Adetola shared, because like he's saying, at what point are we able to say that this is actually the experience of a PMS or a lady going through PMS, as opposed to when she's just throwing tantrums or just giving an attitude? And also, like, I like how he summarized it at the end, that working with you from a place of knowledge as opposed to a place of ignorance. And I think it summarizes it so well. Yeah. So I don't know if any of the ladies want to go. We'll hear from Kwame. Kwame, I always want to draw you into the conversation. Since you are here, we can have a word from you. Then we'll hear from the ladies. We'll have a few responses from the ladies, and then we'll share final thoughts from the panelists, and then we'll be out of here. Kakra, are you still here? Okay, Kwame, let's hear from you if you'd like to say something.
Hi everyone. Yeah, I'm always hesitant to, I know, to speak on behalf of women and the like. So I guess my only point is, I guess, and it's more to the guys, is also just to, I mean, I hear the conversation that, you know, you'd like women to be a lot more open, transparent, and the like. But we must also always keep in mind that, I mean, women growing up, and once again, I don't want to speak on behalf of women because I'm a guy. I have no idea what women go through in the experiences. But you must always remember, as guys as well, that women grew up, you know, with such conversations being taboo, couldn't speak about it, and, you know, have always been frowned upon, be it like menstruation or PMS and the like. So we also kind of need to cut them some slack as well, right? Because there's just a lot of stigma attached to this. So in as much as, sure, they are hesitant to speak about it, that's also because there's, you know, they've been stigmatized the whole time. And so we need to keep that in mind. I think the other bit I just want to touch on as well is that we should also, as guys, be careful not to then attribute every time, you know, your girlfriend or your wife is in a terrible mood, and say, oh, are you on your periods again, or are you PMSing, right? Because that's also condescending, right? Because someone can, you know, just like you as a guy can be in a bad mood because you're in a bad mood, they can also be in a bad mood because they're in a bad mood that day. So, and once you start attributing everything to, oh, you PMSing your periods, then that creates a lot of hesitancy, and she'll probably never tell you as well, because you want to then attribute those.
And it probably adds to the stereotypes as well.
Exactly. So we also need to be conscious of that, because, like I said, especially on our continent, women have definitely been, you know, muted in terms of having such conversations, and made to feel that it's, you know, it's not right, and it's abnormal, whereas that's their daily experience. I think I joined quite late, and someone was mentioning how women never, you know, like have a break in any month, because this week you're going through this, next week, and it's normal for them. So portraying it as being abnormal, and therefore that's why they're in a bad or whatever, you know, that adds the stigma as well. So that's really my only contribution. But yeah, other than that, yeah, really great conversation and quite educational. And yeah, I'm learning every time. So yeah, thanks for having this chat.
Thank you very much, Kwame. Yeah.
Sure.
Grateful. So Tawanda, I'll hear from Tawanda response. We are receiving responses from the ladies, and then we'll have a French conversation finally, and then final thoughts, and we're gone. So Tawanda, let's go.
So yes, this is a response to Adetola. I hope I got his name right. If I didn't, apologies. So you said that you wouldn't call PMS normal because the woman is experiencing so many things, like she has so many things bothering her. But then it's exactly as I said it's a woman's normal. I guess I like to think that women are kind of built different to kind of be able to function and experience many other things, like the symptoms of PMS and everything like that. So it is normal. And then some moments are just a little too discomforting, but it is normal. It is a woman's normal. And then also, like Kwame said, you don't expect every female, or you don't always expect your girlfriend to tell you she's experiencing PMS. It also has to do with the point at which you are in a relationship, because relationships are different. And also, Joy, you gave an example of your friend who couldn't go ahead and watch the recording of this meeting. See, there are people in relationships like that. They're not too open with each other when it comes to things like that. So it's how comfortable your partner or your girlfriend or your lady or your wife is to talk about such things as PMS with you. And it's also how they don't want to be looked at a certain way when they talk about these things. So it's also that. And then also for females, I think I would encourage most females or every female to just be able to talk about such things as PMS and everything that comes with it with their partners. I think it puts them in a better position where they could be more accommodating. Like maybe if your wife told you she was experiencing cramps and she wasn't feeling too good, you would probably offer to cook dinner and stuff like that. And then just helps everybody have better lives, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that.
Thank you very much, Tawanda. Annie, let's hear from you.
All right, so I think I would just be adding on to what Tawanda has already said. The most important thing is to understand that every human being is different, and this includes every woman. And so to generalize how every woman will be treated when they're PMSing is a little, unrealistic. So I think it's around you and how you will treat them. And we've talked a lot about communication as a theory, but it's really hard to put in practice because I think someone mentioned earlier that if every day I'm feeling a different type of way, we like communicate every day to say, oh, today I'm moody, so you should behave this way. This will also be inconveniencing the men that are in our lives. Because as much as we, the women, are going through things and are expecting the men to accommodate us, the men are also going through things and we should coexist, so to say. So I think the most important thing is understanding the women that are in your life or the women that you could prioritize, so to say, for lack of better terms, and know their behavior and know how you could help. I can't speak for all women, but my Tawanda is a very close friend of mine, and they mostly joke and say, "Oh, you're God's favorite" and stuff like that. Because even my symptoms of PMSing are very lenient, or they're very kind to me. So in such a situation, then I would expect the men around me to not give me as much attention, or I'm not as needy, or as someone who's going through pain would need maybe help with chores. I don't need that because I don't experience any pain. I do need some extra food, so please give me the extra food. Another woman will maybe not need as much food because they've lost their appetite. So I think it's important to just understand the women that are around you and work with that, because quite honestly, you can't study every woman. You just have to make do. And also, I think on the women, it's also important to educate young girls and even ask the older women who don't know much about PMSing that yes, you are going through these things, but they're not an excuse. You still have to be a professional. You still have to be a friend. You still have to be a wife, a mother, and all these things that you are doing. So the same way I'm a student, the same way I will not skip class, the same way I will show up for a test, the same way I will show up for on the ward, even when I'm PMSing, is the same way I should treat people around me with kindness and respect and regard. I shouldn't now use this as an excuse to say, now I'm PMSing and I will be disrespectful to the people around me. It shouldn't be that way. So that would be my contribution.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So we are just rounding up. Jen, if you'd like to go, yeah.
Yes, basically, I would have to agree with all the women who spoke before me, and I want to acknowledge the gentleman. I'm bad with names. Yes, the one who spoke before Kwame, if I'm not mistaken. I must acknowledge the contribution he has made is really well, and I like how he phrased that. Yes, it's the same person, but also when you're going through pain or discomfort, you are not the same person. And that's where we find ourselves often as women, right? And I really appreciated or liked how he broke the things he said down. That as as a logical person, things that you explained in a certain way that he can understand, right? And then on some points that Kwame mentioned, I think I wanted to talk about the part where, with regards to stereotypes, part of the reason why this is not openly spoken about is because of the stereotypes, and it comes from both men and women, right? And then there is the condescending part. That's also another thing that may or might block us from sharing these things, because you can't just as a man always assume just because the person is moody or whatever, it must be serious. You understand? So it's important to understand that person, right? And if you need to ask questions, right? And I think men also, now that they've learned these things, there may be a conversation amongst them as well, right? And kind of like an awareness thing. Because the reality of the matter in the time we live in, or let me not say the time we live in, but as Africans, these are not things that are talked about, it's a taboo. Now that you have this knowledge, now that this was spoken about, what responsibility do you have towards other men or towards your community? Because now this cannot just be a woman's thing. You have the knowledge now, so what do you do with that? You understand? There's a responsibility upon you to also go out or share or talk about these things with other men who might have been here on this platform or not. You understand? And like I said in the beginning, it's not always the same, right? Every month. So those communications are important towards your circle or your friends or your partner, that they understand or know, okay, it's not always the same, this is what happens. And I think for both sides, to be graceful towards each other, right? Now, just because you are PMS and you are in pain, there's no excuse for you to be rude or to be inhumane towards the other person, right? Respect must be there, regardless of what you may be going through. And I feel that the other person also needs to be able to receive, or both sides need to work on this. It can't just be that now that I'm going through this, anything I do and say should be excused because this is what I'm going through. Understand?
Yeah.
So that's just my 5 cents or 2 cents that I'm throwing in the basket. And I think just before I drop everything, I've also learned, for those who are cramping, and it's been in my experience, I cramp a lot. So I've been using 2 methods. I noticed or learned that coffee actually contributes or it makes the cramping worse. And also like cold weather. Makes cramping worse. So they use coffee and I've learned that wine actually alleviates the pain. That's in my personal experience. So you learn as you go what works for you and what doesn't work for you. So yeah, I'll stop there.
Thank you very much, Genevieve. I mean, today we've actually had challenges with our network in terms of the connectivity. So we acknowledge that it's not been very clear on Genevieve's side as well. I think Annie has managed to fix her issues there. Okay, so I think Genevieve has also raised very good points. She spoke about the condescending, the stereotypes, and how the communication, and reflecting on Adetola's points, how she understands where he's coming from, and how communication, like you're saying, is something that we must actually work with or work around. Let's have the closing French conversation, and then we'll hear from the other panelists their closing remarks, and then we'll be out of here.
Alors, ceci a été une discussion fructueuse, comme je l'ai dit encore, je le répète. Je suis content d'avoir été ici. très content même et ce que j'ai appris est inimaginable. Nos amis qui ont discuté ont partagé leurs avis. Les avis étaient vraiment diversifiés, mais je pense que nous avons trouvé un point commun. Et ce point commun est que il doit y avoir la compréhension, il doit y avoir aussi cette envie d'apprendre. Non seulement apprendre, mais aussi être en mesure de comprendre l'autre, la compréhension et aussi l'amour. Je pense que non. L'amour s'exprime quand il y a des difficultés. Quand il n'y a pas de difficultés, quand tout est tranquille, il y a pas, bon, c'est difficile de dire qu'on aime, qu'on exprime cet amour. Mais quand il y a des difficultés, des obstacles, quand il y a des challenges, c'est là que nous voyons que non, cette personne aime ou n'aime pas. Donc, ça a été important d'être ici, très important, surtout pour mon peuple et surtout pour moi-même et pour les gens autour de moi. Donc, merci beaucoup. I don't know if I should speak in English also, but yeah, that's my closing remark. And also, I'd love to say that it is important, very important. Ladies often overlook this aspect, which is so important. The aspect of including the men into such conversations and into other conversations that speak about the problems that ladies face. Why should we include men? Because they are everywhere in our lives. They are our brothers, your brothers, your husband, your boyfriends, your partners. So they are everywhere. Do include them in such discussions and let us make this world a better place. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Petro. Kakra, yes, we've not heard so much from you today. Let's hear from you.
Hi.
Hello, Kakra.
Okay. I've been following the conversation. Everybody has said something very, very impressive. And most of us started the conversation by saying we didn't have much about the knowledge. We didn't know much, but our contributions seem to have broadened because we are asking a lot of questions and we are getting a lot of contribution. And that is good. I mean, that's the purpose of the meeting in the first place. So yes, we've all made very great contributions, specifically to say that women have premenstrual syndromes. We really don't have we really can't tell. We can't explain into details to Adetola exactly like to say it is characteristics ABC. So look out for it because they vary. And then I would also make the case that we shouldn't make excuses for our behaviors. We have to be responsible for how we behave because it is you, the woman, who knows how you are feeling. So you have to have mastery over your behavior with people. You can extend the favor to the man by saying, oh, I'm having my premenstrual syndrome, so please be kind. That is you. It is also up to him to understand exactly what you are saying, but it helps if you are able to have control over how you feel. You don't expect someone to extend some sort of favoritism towards you if you can't control it. So you are saying, don't yell at me, but you are giving that attitude. It doesn't help. So far as you are aware of how you are feeling, it helps if you can control it. Then people outside will be easier. But you don't go ahead to say, please be kind because I'm having menses or premenstrual syndrome, but you are not being kind in person. So we have to have mastery over our feelings. And then it also comes because we know how we are feeling. If you don't know how you are feeling, or if you don't understand totally what you are going through, it may be difficult. So as the men are saying, the conversation should be extended to them. Women also need much more education on it because we are the primary or the product users or the end user. We are the thing. You know? So we need understanding of it. We need mastery of it before we can. I'll stand on the point that if for me, I know how I feel during premenses. You know, I know my premenstrual syndrome. So I know how to control it. I don't need to tell you I'm having something, so deal with me nicely, you know, because I have mastery over it. Aside that, there may be something else. You piss me off the wrong way. But yes, that's we both genders need education on it. But the women, since we are the thing or the syndrome, I think we need mastery of it. We shouldn't make excuses that it's normal and no, it's not right. We have to take control, right? So yes, that's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kakra.
Yes.
Linda.
As uncomfortable as it is, I'm glad that men are becoming part of this conversation, and I trust it to keep getting better. Even if it sounds a bit sensitive, I saw his remark earlier about saying that he feels there's no way he can have this conversation without coming across as insensitive. We are still glad you are asking the questions, and we'll figure out how to respond to you, and probably how you should also ask the question without getting attacked also. And aside, I've been in a situation where I realized, oh, my mood is going off again, and I withdrew. And that way I don't have to become shitty to anybody. And I remember a male friend asking, what's up with you? I'm like, my period is here. Like, oh, sorry. Then he asked, what can I do to make you feel better? Like, I mean, I don't feel entitled. I didn't think he had to do that, but he did. And I was like, oh, thank you. There was a job I was supposed to do, and he was like, I will do it for you. And that was, for me, that was support. And I was really grateful. And so it can, showing empathy can actually be, what can I do to make you feel better? Somebody can say, oh, just hold my hands, I'll be fine. But I also think we shouldn't make it look like women become monsters when they are going through this. Women have learned how to smile through the problems, through the issues, and we master it all, really. And I think we're really doing a good job out of it. And I hope we can keep this conversation going further. And yes, I look forward to more talking about this more. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a pleasure having everyone. And Adetola is the first time we're having you. This conversation happens every 2 weeks. So in the next 2 weeks, you're going to have another menstrual conversation. All right. So you're always invited to join. And I'd like to say that on Sunday, we had a conversation it's a business support training, Voice One Africa we're having, that we're talking about the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, which is beneficial to all of us as our businesses, the opportunities to travel across the continent and all that. So the Africa Continental Free Trade Area should be something that matters to us. And we are having one of the executive directors from their policies network to tell us about what's happening and what this whole African Continental Free Trade Agreement and area. So I'm inviting all of us to join as well and come with our questions to make it more engaging. So thank you so much and for making tonight's session really impactful and engaging. And on that note, I would like to say thank you and bye-bye for now. Au revoir.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.